The story begins in a small town in the interior United States, where several people are gathered inside a local bar. A young man named Bozo has just arrived, accompanied by his younger brother, nicknamed Hot Wheels due to his wheelchair. Among the other patrons are Harley, a heavy chain smoker, Coach, a clever man who claims to manage celebrities, Jason, an actor, and an elderly woman simply known as Grandma. The bar's delivery man, known as Beer Guy, claims he used to be a model. Coach, intrigued, sits beside him and boasts about his connections in show business. However, their conversation is interrupted when the bartender, Joe, orders Beer Guy to move the delivery truck, as the parking lot is getting crowded. Bossman also tells him to move the truck, but takes the opportunity to ask for a drink, an order Beer Guy can't refuse. Meanwhile, Coach is eyeing Honey, a waitress with dreams of becoming an actress. Her mood contrasts with that of her coworker, Tuffy, a bitter single mother who keeps her son, Cody, hidden upstairs. In the meantime, Bozo is loudly searching for a pool partner. Annoyed by the lack of responses, he causes a disturbance until Joe tells him to quiet down. The two start bickering until something unexpected happens. Suddenly, an armed and injured man bursts into the bar, shouting that everyone must follow his orders if they want to survive. Joe quickly grabs a gun from under the counter and aims at the stranger, who introduces himself as Eric. Realizing brute force won't work, Eric reveals his goo-covered head and explains there are 4 more creatures like him, fierce and ravenous, and they're headed this way. Everyone falls silent in shock as Eric urges Beer Guy to call the police, or better yet, the army. According to him, the only way to survive is to seal all doors and windows until someone with serious firepower arrives. Before he finishes, a monstrous creature smashes through the window and grabs Eric. But the creature rips off his head, spraying blood across the room and all over Honey. Eric's headless body falls to the floor as his gun slides toward the door, just as an out-of-breath woman enters. Her name is Jane, and she's looking for her husband, Eric. Horrific growls echo from behind her as she rushes to shut and barricade the door with her rifle. Upstairs, Tuffy, sensing danger, hides Cody inside a closet and instructs him not to come out, no matter what. Jane, realizing Eric is dead, barely has time to grieve. Another monster is roaring outside, and the window must be sealed. A former soldier volunteers to help but is quickly impaled by a monstrous claw. Then, a smaller creature, clearly a juvenile, squeezes through the gap and spreads panic. The baby monster attacks Harley, severing part of her leg. No one helps her. Joe tries to shoot the monster, misses again, but knocks the decoration loose, causing the baby to fall into the freezer. Bozo rushes in, locks the door, and declares everyone safe until they hear more roaring outside. Now convinced of the danger, as things momentarily calm, Bossman hobbles downstairs, still unaware of the unfolding nightmare. Tuffy is horrified when Joe shows her the severed creature's head. Jane, meanwhile, offers no more information. She says she barely knows how she even got here. When Tuffy hears what the monsters are capable of, she races upstairs to find Cody. Jane follows. Tuffy hugs her son tightly, but just then, a monster smashes through the window and devours Cody right in front of her. She breaks down, screaming uncontrollably. Joe aims his gun, while Beer Guy rushes in to help. The monster spits a slimy substance that soaks Beer Guy, but he holds Tuffy back to stop her from running into danger. Jane locks the room and leads everyone back downstairs. Beer Guy, now drenched in slime, says he needs to go to the hospital. Jane refuses to let him open the door. It would put everyone at risk. She explains that her daughter is also out there, but even so, they can't survive against the monsters. As Beer Guy leaves mumbling, Honey tries to clean herself up, despite being watched. Boss Mun suggests they get rid of the bodies too. The group decides to move the victims to the basement and finish sealing the bar. Honey takes Harley's gun, as Harley has passed out from blood loss. Just when things seem to settle, the freezer begins shaking again. The baby monster is still alive. Boss Mun, eager to prove himself, fires repeatedly into the side of the freezer. Silence follows, but a claw suddenly bursts from the freezer, grabbing his leg. Tuffy acts fast. She smashes the limb with a gun barrel, then fires into the freezer until a burst of black fluid confirms the kill. Despite the minor victory, everyone is demoralized. If killing a baby was that hard, how could they possibly survive the adults? Coach, seeing an opportunity to lead, steps up. He says appearances are everything in a confrontation. All they need to do, he claims, is convince the monsters that they are more dangerous. With that plan in mind, Coach instructs Joe to open the freezer. Then, he pokes the remains of the baby creature with a long pipe. Jane agrees to open just a portion of the window so they can hang the body outside, showing what the terrible humans in that bar are capable of. It doesn't take long for the smell to attract the beasts, and for a moment, everyone fears the plan will backfire, that the monsters will want revenge for the baby. However, what happens is even more shocking. The female monster swallows the baby whole, and the couple immediately begins to mate, to everyone's horror. This results in an ultra-fast gestation, and within minutes, the female starts giving birth to several babies, more violent than the first. After quickly sealing the crack, everyone curses Coach's idiotic idea. Bossman asks Jane how she encountered these beings. She explains that she had left her daughter Charlie at her mother's house to hang out with Eric. Shortly after, their car hit one of the beasts. They found its head on the road, and the rest of the pack soon showed up, chasing them ever since. Hearing this, Bossman concludes it's all retaliation for the hit and run and blames Jane for bringing the creatures to his bar. Just then, Beer Guy starts acting up again, showing tufts of hair falling out and a horrendous lump moving under the skin of his arm. In a hysterical state, he keeps rambling, saying everything will be okay because the experts must be on their way. Delusional, he thinks he hears tanks rolling in and peeks outside, only for his eye to be sucked out of its socket. On the other side, Coach is attacked too and loses his pants, which makes Grandma laugh. Realizing this was a coordinated attack, Jane and Bossman count the available ammunition, but the result is discouraging. Honey manages to snatch a bullet but has no idea how to load it into the stolen gun. Bossman says there are more ammo boxes in the basement and a radio upstairs, if anyone is brave enough. As Bozo keeps questioning Jane's decisions and says they need a manlier leader, she suggests splitting the risky tasks. He goes for the radio, and she'll get the ammo from the basement. Bozo agrees, reluctantly, but only if someone goes with him. TFFY offers to go with Jane downstairs while the rest stay in the hall, ignoring the constant banging on the doors and windows. Bozo heads up with Joe and Coach, but they only go halfway, locking him alone in the part with the open windows. Terrified, he reaches the final room and is nearly scared to death by a bat before finding the radio. Bozo calls for help, gives the bar's coordinates, and avoids mentioning the monsters. But his plea is cut off when one of the creatures knocks over the radio. He keeps shouting, hoping someone hears him, and pounds on the door. Joe tries to open it, but the key breaks. Bozo is saved just in time when Jane uses an earring to pick the lock. They close the door just as the creature nearly gets in. The boy is thrilled to see his brother survived, and they hug as Coach gives another motivational speech. Suddenly, the bar is attacked from all sides. The beasts and their babies charge at the boarded windows. Honey suggests running to the cars. Despite the huge risk, some agree, staying inside won't work much longer. Hot Wheels suggests luring the monsters to one side and escaping through the other. When asked how, he offers a bold idea. Using detergent and hairspray, he makes explosives and ties them to Harley, using her as bait. The plan is to run to the nearest car and then come back for the others. Meanwhile, Bossman and Bozo drag Harley upstairs, preparing to toss her out the window. But she suddenly wakes up and starts screaming for help. Bozo tries to stop it, but Bossman stops him and stomps the floor twice, signaling that everything is going according to plan. A monster appears and drags Harley away so fast, after some chaos, they trigger an explosion that cuts the power to the bar. Coach jumps out the basement window, and Jane follows. But the distraction fails, and Jane finds herself surrounded. She screams for help. Joe and TFFY try to let her in, but Beer Guy points a gun at them, fearing the creatures will follow her in. Upstairs, Bozo is furious at Bossman's cruelty. Bossman threatens him with a gun, demanding he lie to the group about Harley. They fight, and Bozo takes the revolver downstairs. But Jane has already tried another window. In the chaos, Bozo accidentally shoots her, thinking she's a monster. Horrified, he realizes his mistake. Bossman seizes the moment to say that now, none of them can keep secrets from each other. When they go down, TFFY is devastated. Bossman blames the monsters. TFFY channels all her rage and grief into survival and takes control of the group. Bossman mocks her determination and tells the others to follow her while he stays on the ground, hoping the monsters will ignore him. But he speaks too soon. A claw pierces the floor, and his chest explodes. Panic ensues. The group hopes Coach has reached the car, but they soon hear his screams. TFFY peeks through the door crack and sees the monsters overpowering Coach and preparing to use him as a battering ram. Joe realizes the door won't hold and tries to teach Beer Guy how to light a Molotov cocktail. But Beer Guy is nearly catatonic. As the monsters break through, the group changes strategy. Using a ladder as a ramp, they roll barrels of beer at the creatures. The first ones push the monsters back long enough for them to send Honey hidden inside the last barrel. She lands near the cars and climbs into Beer Guy's truck. For a moment, it seems the engine won't start, but then it roars to life. Everyone cheers, thinking she's come to rescue them. But their joy turns to rage when she makes a sharp turn and drives away, leaving them behind. Another chance is gone. The survivors are exhausted when a monster smashes part of the wall and invades the bar. They fight back with every weapon available. Even pinned to the floor, Hot Wheels keeps shooting, while TFFY tries to block the babies. Beer Guy tries to light the Molotov cocktail, but drops everything. The second monster arrives and crushes his head. Then it attacks TFFY, who's out of ammo. Enraged, she knocks it down and smashes it repeatedly, screaming like she's lost her mind. Bozo asks Joe for the bottle Beer Guy dropped. Joe passes it with great effort. He's having a heart attack. Bozo lights the Molotov, but the flame dies. Fortunately, TFFY is handling the last creature. Though practically defeated, it refuses to die. TFFY loses her patience and shoves her arm down its throat, choking it to death. Bozo is amazed by her fury and relieved that dawn is breaking. He pulls his brother from the rubble, and he and TFFY carry him to the car. She tells him Charlie is in a nearby house, and they decide to go get her together. Back inside the bar, Grandma, who had been hiding the whole time, finally dares to open the door, only to be instantly attacked by a monster. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.